Hi everyone! If any of you have been following this channel along, you saw that in the last 2 weeks, I did not post any videos. And I do apologize. However, I am involved in a project which is basically eating up all of my free time. And it still is. It's sort of like quicksand, just dragging me down no matter how much I'm trying to resist and fight it. And I just don't know if it's interesting enough to share on this channel, but you know what, maybe I'll get around in doing some sort of a short video on it in the future. But because I did not post anything for 2 weeks, it made me realize how much I actually missed doing so. Even though I am a one-man team and sometimes it gets exhausting and overwhelming, the honest truth is that even if like 30 or 40 people come across this channel and enjoy the content, it is such a treat for me to be able to share my experience and show some of these places. And since I know there are some regular viewers by now, on a weird level, the channel gives me a feeling of like a connection to more people. And that's pretty cool. So, just because I did not post videos, again, it does not mean I do not have some content to share with you, because I have a really fun video to show you for next week, and in the next day or so, I will be going to record another place. Hence, I'm really excited to show new locations. But in this video, I want to show you a walk that I did, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago or so, and I was even debating whether to use it as a video because it was kind of this spontaneous thing and not really planned. I was in Brooklyn, by Brooklyn Bridge. Beautiful weather outside, had about 3 hours or so to spare, and so one thing led to another, and I took a walk across the Brooklyn Bridge into Manhattan. And again, there is a lot I did not record because I was not really planning to make a video out of it, but even with some of the things I did record, I realized how amazing this place is. And again, I will not be pretending nor saying on YouTube that New York City is the best place in the world to live in, because certainly the city has its flaws and it's not a place for everyone. But with that being said, at every turn, there is so much to explore. Every neighborhood gives off different vibes. Like, for instance, where I began my walk in the neighborhood of Brooklyn Heights, you can notice these gas streetlights, which is a rather unique sight. Gas streetlights were introduced into New York City in the 1820s, so about 100 years ago or so. And they dominated until the 1880s when they were being replaced by electric streetlights. These right here are not original. They were installed in the 1980s. However, they do pay tribute to how the original ones looked like. So there you go. Something simple like this, but we can have a whole history lesson on New York City and lights, from candle lights and oil lamps to gas lamps and finally electric lights, all giving an insight into life for the people before us. And that is what is so cool. Each building, each street has something to tell us, to teach us. But one building in particular, which is also by Brooklyn Bridge, and that kind of always caught my interest, is the Olympia Dumbo Tower, which is a residential building that was completed quite recently. And right from the beginning, because the building is shaped like a sail, I thought that maybe the inspiration for this design came from the Burj Al Arab, which is a luxury hotel in Dubai. And so I had to really sort of look that up, because always in my head, that's what I thought, that, you know, that was the inspiration for this building. But the actual inspiration for the design comes from the maritime history of the neighborhood and the city. And so that's kind of interesting, something I didn't know. And if you zoom in, even the playground for the kids is designed to be a ship to go along with the theme of the whole building. And as some of you might know by now, I just love these small little close attentions to detail. Crossing the bridge into Manhattan, another really interesting building is this one right here, the Manhattan Municipal Building. It is really gorgeous. Here we could have another interesting history lesson about the city. In 1898, when the city was consolidated into one, well, because before 1898, Brooklyn, for instance, was a separate city from Manhattan. And then, 1898, there was a union, giving rise to the 5 boroughs we have today: Manhattan, Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. And so, with the merger of the city into one, more space was needed for government offices, and hence we have this building, which was completed by 1914. But I love the arched ceilings and the whole Roman-inspired look of the building. And to go along with that Roman theme, we have a gilded civic fame statue on top of the building, which is the largest statue on top of a building anywhere in New York City, standing at 25 feet, like a Roman goddess overlooking the city and holding a crown in one of her hands, which represents the 5 boroughs and the city coming together as one. There are 1 or 2 more interesting things by the building itself. However, I did not record them because, again, I wasn't really thinking that this will go into a YouTube video. So maybe at some point in the future I will point these things out, which I did not do so this time around. But now that I was in Manhattan, I figured, you know what, I will take a short walk to Broad Street where you can see something really interesting. And this, at this point, I was thinking of using in some sort of a video, so I guess I will squeeze it into this one. But if you are on 85 Broad Street and you are walking on the sidewalk, do not walk by the glass sidewalk without taking a peek into 17th century Dutch New York. I am sure many people every single day walk by and they never really realize or kind of notice the significance of this place. But right below, there are remains of the foundations of a Dutch town hall from the 1640s. And right next to it stood the Lovelace Tavern from 1670s. This was discovered in excavation in the late 70s and early 1980s, along with a number of other artifacts. And now it's sort of preserved in this way for the public to see. And so I know it may not seem like a lot to look at, but it is really interesting to get a small window into the city from its earliest settlement when it was still called New Amsterdam. And so from here, I walked 2 more streets to the New York City Vietnam Veterans Memorial Plaza with a really nice granite wall of names of the city's citizens who had served in the war. Here is where I sat for a few minutes on a bench before turning around and heading back across the bridge. And, well, yep, you guessed it, another major history lesson and topic can be explored here. The war in Vietnam, for instance. Here, not only can you take a moment to reflect, but also learn about some people who served in the war. Like, for instance, Dan Bullock, who was the youngest American to serve and die in the war in Vietnam. He was only 15 years old. 15. In order to join the military at that time, you had to be 18 years old or 17 with a consent of your parents. He altered his birth certificate and lied about his age. If you think this is unique, well, it's really not. And not just for the war in Vietnam, but for many wars. Like, for instance, Mamkilo Gavrik was, I believe, the youngest to become a soldier officially during World War I. He was 8. Yes, 8 years old. His family was killed in 1914, and he was found by the Serbian army and became part of the unit. Then, for instance, during World War II, you have a brown bear who was named Wojtek, was also officially enlisted in the Polish army, which was stationed at that time in Iran, carrying things like ammo boxes, and then, well, being part of the crew, so drinking, smoking, and basically being one of the boys. And so I tell my students, if you think history is boring, absolutely not. You just need to know where and how to look. It's more entertaining, inspiring, and thought-provoking than most people realize. So after a nice long walk, it was time to cross the Brooklyn Bridge and head back home. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you are having a wonderful week. I will see you soon. Take care.